Welcome to a Chart Nerd fundamental and technical analysis update. Today we will be discussing the likes of VELO. Now, I've been doing some digging and picking around and found some very important information that might point towards Q2 being a very explosive quarter for VELO, the VELO protocol team, and holders as well. As of recent, the price action has been a little bit lackluster and there's a lot of fear in the markets at the moment, but today's video is specifically going to be to try and sort of give you that extra lifeline and really show you why I think Q2 might be an extremely prosperous time of year for VELO. So do stay tuned. Nothing that I say is financial advice. Let's dive in. So diving straight into the thick of it today, I really wanted to take focus on the virtual banking market. Now, if you're unfamiliar, back in September of 2024, VELO's sister company Lightnet, along with We Labs, which we will study a little bit more in this video, partnered up to apply for one of these virtual banking licenses. Now, this is a massive thing for VELO, for Lightnet, and for the overall sort of space, I think, in the ASEAN region, because there's over 450 million underbanked individuals in Asia that are without financial services, without financial inclusivity, and these virtual banking licenses offer and harness the power to deploy such financial services to these underbanked and underserved individuals. VELO highlights this a lot, especially Beam on X, VELO's vice chairman, he highlights a hell of a lot on the underserved, underbanked, and the trust that is needed to build these relationships. Now, focusing a little bit more on the virtual banking market here and the process. So in March of 2024, the Bank of Thailand outlined the criteria for companies applying for these virtual banking licenses, and parties had to submit applications before September the 19th of 2024. So this is a process that's been going on for nearly a year now, and together documents and information was needed to be provided. So there was a certain criteria for these virtual banks to apply for this license, one of which was to be headquartered in Thailand with initial registered capital of $147 million and $285 million in the second phase. So this is a lot of money we're talking about in regards to initial registered capital to even be able to apply. The second is the provision of financial services to people without regular income, small and medium-sized enterprises, underserved and unserved groups, and people without access to credit. VELO has an federated credit exchange, and people with informal debt. Now, at the bottom here, it also mentions subject to regulation like other commercial banks, again, of which we know VELO is regulatory compliant and adheres to stringent regulatory needs. So these all fit in regards to the establishment between Lightnet and WeLab to apply for this virtual banking license. Now, if we come down here and see what Mr. Tribodi thought of it, VELO's vice chairman and director of Lighthub Asset and Lightnet co-founder and CEO. Apologies, let me get that right. He's the director of Lighthub Asset and co-founder and group CEO of Lightnet. He said, "We appreciate Bank of Thailand's direction in association with virtual banking, marking an important milestone for the Thai financial industry. Our consortium aims to introduce a smart and open virtual bank in Thailand, leveraging international expertise in AI, data analytics, digital platforms, innovative credit scoring to tailor financial products for unserved and underserved retail and MSME segments, fostering financial inclusion and sustainable economic growth." So again, really highlighting on what this banking license and what this virtual bank provided by Lightnet's CEO and VELO's vice chairman alongside WeLabs, what it could provide for the unserved and underbanked 450 million individuals in Asia. It's absolutely massive if this license gets approved. Now, if we take a little look here at WeLabs and some of their sort of figures and numbers, they have over 60 million registered users and acquire a new user every 4 seconds or so. They have $12 billion in originated or facilitated loans, which is the number one purely online leader in Hong Kong. Massive. They have 700 plus enterprise customers, B2B solutions empowering businesses to launch their own fintech, and they have the ability to analyze 2,500 variables in 1 second. So proprietary credit risk management technologies powered by AI and advanced big data analytics. So this partnership and this establishment between Lightnet and WeLabs has just opened up a whole new corridor in regards to figures, customers, users, and it's just amazing to see that they've joined together. Now, there are some very interesting investors that We Labs are backed by, and one of them that really caught my eye was the International Finance Cooperation. And the International Finance Cooperation improves the lives of people in developing countries by investing in private sector growth. We connect economic development with humanitarian needs to create real progress for the people and places that need it most. So again, this sort of virtual banking license is going to pave way towards the adoption and providing these financial services to the underserved and underbanked in Asia. And having someone like this as a backer, an international finance cooperation, the World Bank Group, is absolutely huge. There's a lot of backing here from We Labs in partnership with LightNet, who are providing or offering to provide these financial services to those individuals. Now, coming over here to one of my posts, again, I've mentioned here, I can't say for sure, but it's stated rather obviously that VELO's sister company will more than likely be granted one of the 3 banking licenses. And here it says Bank of Thailand sticks to 3 virtual banking licenses only out of all the applicants. And according to Mr. Chawadi, forgive me if I've pronounced that wrong, the regulator wants to see innovative financial services made available to a wide range of Thais, especially to those in the unbanked and underbanked segments, to enhance financial inclusion. Again, so we've got the regulators here of the Ministry of Finance who really want to see this pushed through securely, safely, and pretty quickly to keep up with developing trends. Now, what I really wanted to focus on here is, I think I've missed a post that I really wanted to get a light on as well. So let me come back to this actually. Right, here we go. So the expectation of the application result. So as you know, at the start of the video, I do apologize. I was saying that this process for the virtual banking licenses has been going on for nearly a year. It's expected that the application result will be announced within the first half of 2025. So that means anywhere up to Q2. So keep Q2 in mind, because now I'm going to fast forward to this post here, which I found about the current phases of the 10,000 digital baht handout that VELO did have some sort of ties to, but we knew the previous phase 2 was to do with prompt pay. Again, there's many ties in that with VELO, but I will not dive any deeper. Today, I really wanted to focus on this post from the Thai Inquirer, which highlighted, where was we? Yes, phase 3. So the last phase, with a budget allocation of no less than 160 billion baht, is scheduled for Q2 and will utilize a new blockchain-backed digital wallet system. So if we think Q2, a new blockchain digital wallet backed system, we've got LightNet with We Labs, who are trying to establish a virtual bank that is going to be announced within the first half of 2025 in Q2. It just seems like the dots here are really piecing together for Q2 being a strong period for VELO. I believe overall, well, for LightNet, for its sister company, again, the ties are so direct, guys. It all leads to CP Group. There's so much we can get into, but really and truly, this here, along with the fact that we are in the process of applying for that virtual banking license, it's just a bit ironic that it ties up with Q2 and the fact that the phase 3 is expected to use a new blockchain-backed digital wallet system. Now, what that really sort of sticks out to me and says is it's still speculative. We need to consider. But the speculation of cash handouts and uncertainty of how this process was to be achieved led to little focus on digital wallet relations, but that has changed. So again, there's been a lot of up and down in regards to this digital baht handout and how the process of it is going. And I think that the governments are also trying to find the best way and suitable ways that this means can be delivered. Now, I do believe personally going through something like prompt pay or a digital wallet system, i.e. Orbit, if we all be it considered, which is a peer-to-peer digital wallet, I think it just sticks out like a sore thumb that Q2 is scheduled for something big. It's scheduled for a new blockchain-backed wallet system, and it's scheduled for new virtual banking licenses to help serve all of these individuals that need it in Asia. So this is absolutely massive, absolutely huge, because a lot of the limelight had just faded in regards to the 10,000 baht handout phase in regards to VELO and its potential roles in it. But again, as I said, albeit considered, this is still speculative, but the dots keep dotting. Now, after that long dragged out part, I wanted to come over to this post that I've actually posted not so long ago. And again, I've got Pure down here, who was highlighting the fact of the virtual banking licenses results. And she says in June, we should know the final results, which is in Q2, a little bit more confluence. But I wanted to focus on everything I've just said in this one post, okay? Because it says here, the Bank of Thailand are to begin testing this new blockchain-backed wallet system in February of this year, with completion by Q2 of 2025. So the fact that this wallet system is actually going to be in testing in February means this is getting underway very quickly. It mentions private consultants, the Ministry of Finance, meeting regulatory standards, commercial banks like SCB, which VELO is partnered with. It's funny how Beam, our VELO vice chairman and co-founder of LightNet, always highlights public trust in his posts. I will show you this shortly too, and I just think it's a bit ironic that Beam always posts about trust and being trustless. And the fact that all of this is going on with the virtual banking licenses and with the phase 3 of the digital baht handout. Now, if we click on here as well, it says the government and the Bank of Thailand are scheduled to begin the system testing in testing phase in February 2025, with transfers expected to begin in the second quarter. He said the Digital Government Development Agency is developing the system in collaboration with private consultants, and they expect the project to commence around the second quarter of 2025. Now, according to Mr. Julapan, during the testing phase, representatives from the central bank will participate in verifying the system's performance to ensure it meets payment standards on par with commercial banks, ensuring stability across the payment system. So again, there's a lot that's going on here to ensure that it meets the regular standards of normal banks for stability purposes. He said the government is ready to offer the system testers time to complete their evaluations until the standard set by the central bank is met in order to build public trust. So as I've said, Beam highlights a lot about trust, and everything to do here with the Ministry of Finance and this new blockchain-backed wallet system is to do with being trustless and building that sort of relationship to provide reliable financial services. Now, he also reiterated that the collaboration between the finance ministry and the central bank is progressing well and is expected to continue improving. So everything that's going on with the central banks, the finance ministry is all pushing fast forward, go with digital adoption. Now, next, I wanted to come over to Orbit and sort of reaffirm that Orbit is a simple to use mobile application which provides these, it could again provide the back-end tech for these financial services via the banking licenses in Q2, and it provides a simple scan and go model for peer-to-peer payments using a common QR code system. Your wallet connects to your assets in the VELO ecosystem, allows you to quickly transfer for funds for various purposes. So we still have Orbit that I think is looming in the background, and we already have OmniPoints as a merchant, as a D app, allowing to connect VELO directly via Orbit Tech to the merchants to provide vouchers for redemption. So Orbit Tech is already in the background rolling here. Not originally for its primary purpose as a wallet for peer-to-peer payments, but it's here. And I think a lot of people undermine this. Now, again, I've highlighted here, Orbit peer-to-payments is coming, aiming for Q2 2025, bookmark it. Again, so this is albeit speculative based on the information I've just shared with you, but it just seems too ironic for it not to come at some point. Albeit considered, it was very blown out of proportion and expected in 2024, and a lot of people were sort of nagging at the fact that it didn't come. Well, we have to understand, like we've been through all of these posts, the amount of regulation and compliance that we need to actually see, and how the Ministry of Finance need this to be right, and the central bank, and how they're all progressing well together. It's all going in the right tracks. Maybe it just wasn't time. Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe VELO had to adhere to those stringent compliances of regulatory standards. So that's something to consider here, guys, and why I don't think we should be beaten up about the fact that Orbit, the peer-to-peer wallet, isn't here yet. I think it's coming. I do think it's coming. So none of that is financial advice, guys. Now, moving over to economic news in Thailand, so nothing too specific here, but I wanted to focus on the SEC and regulations and, you know, the sort of advancements that Asia and Thailand in itself are giving here for companies like VELO and like LightNet to actually apply for these financial services and to provide what they actually really need to provide in Asia. So the ministry wants the SEC to apply digital asset laws more effectively, especially with regard to asset-backed tokenization. Both traditional securities and digital assets attract the same investor base, including retail and institutional investors, both domestically and internationally, requiring seamless integration between the two. So VELO talks a lot about PayFi, which we'll get into shortly. Now moving over to, again, this is good, I think, economic news. The SEC wants to apply for laws more effectively and start pushing on tokenization. Great news overall for Thailand, right? So nothing too specific directly related to VELO, but it does have some influence as VELO is operating massively in Thailand. Now, if we look at a post here from Myla, Thailand's big move. We also have Thailand considering launching the stablecoin to boost digital asset market. So according to Jinshi data on January the 30th, Thailand's finance minister, again, the Ministry of Finance here, said at a Securities and Commission exchange with the SEC, who I've just shown you, who really want to push for effective and asset-backed tokenization, and so on and so forth in the digital realm. It says that on Thursday, the government is considering issuing stable coins backed by treasury bonds. These stable coins can be used to pay merchants and may attract investors. So VELO, as you all know, has an extensive list of merchant networks within its ecosystem, and we also have USDV. So launching stablecoins backed by treasury bonds could mean VELO crushes the game. Imagine VELO's ecosystem expanding with USDV style stablecoins with payments to merchants nationally and attracting more investors. I think this is also great news on the adoption front of digital assets and stablecoins, and VELO's USDV could play a part here, already being backed by the likes of treasury bills and tokenized gold, i.e. from the Laos project. I think this could pave way potentially for further collateralization, i.e. maybe with the likes of bonds, as Thailand pushes forward here. Now, again, I don't know too much on that, so I wouldn't quote me there, but just something interesting. Now, today I also noticed from the Thai Inquirer, a little bit more, going off topic now from the virtual banking licenses, but here we have CP All not denying that it may be considering an investment in Japan's 7&I holding. Now, as you know, CP Group are an investor of VELO, and CP All, if we come over to here, was created by the CP Group back in 1988. They are a company that operates 7-Eleven convenience stores in Thailand. So the overall CP Group is interesting and hasn't denied the fact that it may be considering an investment in Japan's 7&I holdings. Now, if we look at OmniPoints and 7-Eleven stores, 7bank as well, by the way, guys, if we look over here on VELO's partners, 7bank is an investor, of VELO. So coming back to where was we? Yes, coming back to CP All. So CP Group are, just again to show you guys, CP Group are an investor of VELO. 7bank are investors of VELO. And coming back to it here, CP Group are considering an investment in 7&I holdings of Japan. So it's absolutely huge news, the fact that CP Group is looking at this investment and hasn't denied its potential possibilities. Now, a little bit more here from Pure, who covers exquisite content on X, and who 7bank is and what they are. So 7bank Limited is a subsidiary of 7&I Holdings, right? Who CP Group are looking to invest in. So, and 7bank is an investor of VELO, as we was just studying. 7bank's an investor of VELO. So 7i, where was I? I do apologize. Yes, focusing on banking services primarily through ATMs located in 7&I Group stores like 7-Eleven. The 7&I Group is a leading retail group with a global network, 22,800 stores in Japan, and globally 85,800 stores. So this is massive, absolutely massive. The exposure, the potential is crazy. And just to see the fact that VELO's investors CP Group are taking interest in investing in a subsidiary of 7bank, which is another investor of VELO, just gives a bit more confidence here and makes me go, light bulb, switch it on, right? So that's something else I really wanted to cover over today, and is great news. The fact that CP Group, an investor of VELO, is planning to invest, or might be planning to invest, into 7&I Holdings, which is a subsidiary of another investor of VELO, 7bank. Now, coming over to PayFi, which I see VELO post about a hell of a lot. So crypto payments made practical with VELO PayFi. Now, as of recent, Masari, another partner of VELO partnered with Masari for on-chain analysis and data back in 2024. Masari posted about an open PayFi stack and PayFi ecosystem. So just describing it a little bit here, unfortunately, VELO isn't on this diagram. I feel like it deserves to be. But the PayFi ecosystem can be thought of as a 6-layer technology stack initially proposed by Huma Finance, each serving as a distinct function to facilitate efficient and compliant payment financial solution. The PayFi stack provides a blueprint for collaboration across well-defined layers whilst maintaining openness and flexibility. And of course, we see VELO talk about PayFi and crypto payments a hell of a lot. Huma raised $38 million to hyperscale its network, which is this network here in this ecosystem between application layers, financing layers, compliance layers, custody layers, currency layers, and transaction layers. Now, I believe VELO fits in some, if not multiple, of these layers here, and definitely deserves to be a part of this ecosystem. But here again, it says Huma Finance is transforming, a bit more on Huma Finance. They are transforming payment financing by utilizing real-world assets to deliver instant and borderless liquidity, enabling faster, more accessible, and more efficient financial solutions. It just screams VELO at me. Everything from instant, borderless liquidity, faster, accessible, efficient, everything VELO strives to be. Anything here? Right, there's one more thing I wanted to show you in regards to why this Humor finance is important, is because they raised, in the 38 million that was raised, Hashkey was one of the investors, Hashkey Capital. Now, if we come over to VELO again, Hashkey Capital is another VELO investor. So we've got a lot going on, guys. We have a lot going on. From the PayFi, where Humor Finance have sort of come up with this pay stack, which VELO isn't a part of yet. But VELO is focused on PayFi. It is faster, borderless, instant, efficient, and has Hashkey as an investor. Again, it's just another dot I wanted to add to you for you guys today. Now, coming over to some more very good information, I was studying the VELO TVL, which is the total value locked, i.e. from staking and so on and so forth, the amount of tokens that are locked into the ecosystem right now. And if we look back at my previous post from September of 2024, VELO had increased from 15 million at one stage, and the last time I checked was at 25 million in TVL. Now, I checked the stats today and found out that the total value locked has increased by 33%, a whopping 33%, and $35 million is now the TVL. So there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of people who are looking for security in its services through VELO, i.e. through staking and other sources. And this is a fantastic sign. The higher the TVL, the more security and trust within the project. Great signs moving forward for VELO. Now, I also wanted to, this is nothing really, just looking at the Thai Inquirer, which is a top sort of article and coverer of news in Thailand. They are advertised by the UOB, and just coming over to here to again to VELO's investors, you've got UOB. So some more confluence there in relation to these posts from the Thai Inquirer, which have provided us with lots of information recently. This one here about the phase 3 handout, do follow them because they post exquisite content about anything economic wise and digital in Thailand. But yeah, that was just another post from the this was just a scope over of UOB, who are the advertisement firm for Thai Inquirer and also an investor in VELO. Now, coming over to the TA, guys, I hope you've enjoyed that sort of overall scope of the banking licenses all the way through to PayFi, from the Thai Baht handouts to Orbit still being in speculation, and it all tying up for Q2. Today's video on the fundamental analysis was really to focus on everything that's going on for the first half of 2025 and why things might not have kicked into gear as of yet, and that VELO's price action should not deter us away from the strength and building of the team in dark times. So fast forwarding now, we're going to go and look at some TA, and I posted this 23 hours ago for VELO here, and it says, let me just zoom in to make this a little bit larger for us. So it says VELO is now meeting previous 0.022 support as resistance. We either jump back into the horizontal channel here to validate a potential deviation, and failing to break 0.02 resistance, we may pull back towards 0.019 or 16. The daily EMA def cross above is our resistance and is concerning. So yesterday, VELO, you can see here, this was our horizontal channel that VELO was caught between. We did get the deviation above to 0.038 before coming back into channel support on this horizontal channel, and then we started running into the EMAs here and created this def cross, which pushed us down and deviated below our previous support at 0.022. So this previous support is now key resistance to reclaim, and 0.022 towards 0.025 is the area I would like to see VELO start getting back above and building a base in order to see continuation to higher targets. Because if we fail to get back above this previous resistance, and if we fail to see a blast off above the EMAs, so the bullish scenario, again, coming into the channel, meeting the EMAs, potentially coming back to channel support, holding a higher low than the previous low, and boosting up. That's basically what we want to see for the bullish scenario, which includes taking out 0.022 and these EMA def crosses that have formed on the 20 and 55 at 0.025. So VELO's key resistance, I know it for a fact, is still 0.022 and 25 that needs to be reclaimed before we see any excitement to higher targets. Now, in preparation of seeing a pullback and a little bit more of a retracement here, I wanted to focus on this potential play that I covered as well. So I thought of a short-term thought experiment where VELO would run up to 0.025. I think yesterday we got up to 2.4, and then drop down to 0.017 before starting the run back up to 0.038. So here my analysis and analogy on this sort of ideology here. I wanted to show you, if I can find it, I don't know where they've gone now, but there was a couple of other posts that I covered on VELO yesterday. Right, so this is one here. Now again, I don't want to seem like I'm just predominantly posting bearish targets, but we do need to analyze everything on the charts here. If we break 0.022 and 25, the bullish continuation can remain. We have got back in the horizontal channel and we can continue to push higher. If we fail to get back above that level of resistance, I think these plays I'm about to show you are likely for VELO. Nothing that I say is financial advice. So right now, I think we potentially have a double top on our weekly time frame. We did have the high in the wick here to 0.038, which took out the previous high. But initially, the candle closes within the last 3 weeks were lower than the previous highs in the past. So we have a high and a lower high on top of a level of support. So I think potentially we could have this double top pattern with a target bringing us down to 0.016 and back to this ascending support line. Another post I'll show you in a second will exaggerate this a bit more. But I think that if we do close below 0.022 and see closes below that, it would give confidence that this is just an A, B, C extended wave back down to ascending support before then building the base into February and actually taking off to higher targets. So I think I'm not 100% sure this C wave is over or this correction is over. It could be, because if you look at the wick and scroll over to the left, we've initially had the back test on the prior highs, but we haven't had a candle close around that area. So I think it's still a very interesting point to discuss and to cover moving forward for VELO, and I believe I will keep monitoring this as we go along. Now, also tying up with this double top and potentially losing our key support is the fact that the MACD on the weekly is about to put in a bearish cross. Now, the last time this happened was back in May, I believe, and the cross kind of actually, if we think about it and go straight up, it was very close to when the bottom was in for VELO. In fact, 1 to 3 weeks after the cross, if I'm not wrong here, 1, 2, 3 weeks after the cross indicated the low for VELO. So if we're to say within the next 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3, or whether we hold support for 3 weeks, whichever it be, or push up for 3 weeks, whichever one, I think within the next 3 weeks, VELO's low may be confirmed, going off previous data from the MACD and looking at historical levels of support and resistance. So tied up with this def cross and the double top could say the next few weeks are going to bring us down to ascending support before getting the breakout. And I think it would just provide ripe opportunity. And those sort of targets, as I said in my last post that I was just covering, is 0.017 to 15. I think somewhere between there. It's a bit of a rough one, guys, I'll be honest. But again, just coming back to that post and again, looking at that C wave to the ascending support and our triangle support. If you remember, we was building up in a 7-month triangle back in 2024 that lasted all the way from May until November. We eventually got the break and have put in these new all-time highs, new local highs. I wish it was a new all-time high, but we put in the new local high and took out the previous May high. So this is good signs because we've got macro higher highs, right? But at the same time, we've also run into a supply zone, and I think this is just an ABC correction that could have an extensive C wave tying up with 0.015 and 16, tying up with ascending support that could get a retest, tying up with a back test to this triangle that we've broken out of and haven't seen a retest yet. So if we do come back, it gives confluence that this ties up with this post I was just analyzing on the double top. Breaking down to this ascending support would also mean returning for a C wave extension back down to this triangle resistance for a confirmational support level and could provide the extensive C wave relief in the next few weeks that VELO is looking for. So I think there's some confluence here. The def cross, if history is to repeat, would entail a further few weeks of correction before the lows are actually in. And this, I think, would scare the utmost hell out of people, but it would just be back testing key ascending support. You'd be back testing the triangle that we broke out of before and then looking for continuation to higher targets. So again, I think overall things to take away here, guys, is VELO needs to reclaim 0.0, this previous support that's now resistance. It needs to reclaim 0.023/4 and initially 0.025, which is these EMAs that are sort of calling down on our heads now. So there's a lot of work to do. We need to reclaim this resistance. We need to reclaim the resistance, previous support. We need to reclaim this resistance on these EMAs and get back above the EMAs. As I said to you before, when you're under and hitting your heads on these EMAs, you are in a downtrend. When you're above these EMAs and holding them as support, you're in an uptrend. And right now we have a daily death cross. So I'm expecting short-term relief, as I said, up to 0.025 potentially. It could have occurred yesterday already, and that was the only relief we was going to get. But I do think we need to start seeing a base build here, and we need to hold this 0.019 wick low in order to invalidate further decline. So to take away, guys, the key things to focus on: 0.022 previous support that's resistance, and the EMAs on the daily time frame are needed to be reclaimed in order to validate the moves back up to the 0.03s. Failing that, it just gives more likelihood of a breakdown where we run into resistance or potentially run into these EMAs and then get shafted back down to those 0.017/16 targets of the double top pattern that we've been analyzing, and the potential back test to those well, what was I talking about? The double top target, basically, I think it was. Sorry, it's a lot of stuff to cover in this video, but I will get the VELO chart up for us quickly, actually, and just have a little look at some of the lower time frame price action to see what's going on here. So just coming over to VELO, right, so as of today, we're actually sitting at 0.0217. Now the weekly 20 EMA is our current key level of support as well, and that sits at 0.0213. So we are just above that right now, and below the weekly, if we see closes below the 20-week EMA, I think it just gives more of a sort of foresight vision into the fact that the minimum, the weekly 55, is going to get tested, and that currently sits ironically at the same target as our double top drop pattern at 0.017. And ironically, I think it ties up very close with, that's the wrong thing I wanted to get on, with the ascending support that VELO has been holding for quite a long time. So again, just getting this trend line on. In fact, it's a little bit lower below that. But what I think potentially could be occurring here, if we see the closes below the weekly 20 EMA, I think at a minimum the weekly 55 could come, and we may get a wick below. As you can see in these prior corrections, we do have these sort of strong wicks back to this ascending support line of which the buyers do step in. So I think that potentially, again, as I've said, this is just a lower high B wave and a C back down to this ascending support line, retest the 55 EMA, potentially get the wick and close above the 55 would be beautiful. But if we get that, and at the same time manage to get the close above these previous highs from August of 2024, so again, I think we could get the C wave extension to the ascending support line, create this wick, potentially create a wick here, and if we get the close above 0.018 on these candles, I think it would be a very bullish sign, and this wick could provide, if it comes into fruition, the biggest opportunity moving forward before the next breakout that pushes us onto our Adam and Eve target at 11 cents. So really and truly, just removing all of this again to get a clearer image, we need to go from the current low that we have, retracing back to the 3.8 high. These are the current resistance levels that VELO needs to reclaim. We have 0.025 at the 382, which you can see kind of ties up with these previous candle closes in December. You've got the 0.50 and the 0.618. So these are very key levels of resistance that if we are to see any relief in the near short term, VELO does need to get back above in order to see continuation. Now, if we do, on the bullish scenario, close out above the weekly this week and start pushing up here through these resistance targets, then I think it just gives more confidence that we're going to come to this target quicker, and this flat ABC correction could be in. Okay, it could be in. It could be, but I'm just trying to analyze as best as I can here with other indicators like the MACD and the weekly. I think RSI could still do with a bit more of a deviation point or a drawback. I think that I'm just still caught between a rock and a hard place, and key signs to give away the game again would be breaking above these levels of resistance or losing this 20-week EMA support. But it's kind of visible here, the neckline of the double bottom, and just measuring from the candle closes to the neckline, the double top breakdown again brings you very close towards this ascending support on this trend line. So we do need to monitor this moving forward, guys. I hope I've covered everything in today's video. Fear only provides opportunity is the only thing I can say. And really and truly, before I go, if we just scope how this all works, simple support and resistance, guys. Simple support and resistance. So we had the double bottom form previously in in 2024, broke out, ran into resistance. This resistance then came back to the previous resistance of the double bottom for support, and then we broke out of this resistance. Now it looks like we're in the potential retracement back down to this level for support before pushing onto the next high, which then makes this level a level of support. Do you see what I mean? It's slowly climbing up the stairs as we go, breaking resistance and holding support. So right now, VELO has not lost any macro structure whatsoever and is doing everything it did in the past. We formed a bottom structure, we pushed up. We formed an ABC bottom structure, we pushed up. Right now we're in another ABC, looking for the low of the structure before pushing up. So I hope that kind of explains simple support and resistance. Do not lose faith, do not lose track. Keep these EMAs on your charts and think about the fundamentals and the growth going on behind the scenes that we covered in earlier during the video. Nothing that I say is financial advice, guys. I hope you've all enjoyed the content from Chart Nerd TA. Take care. Peace out.